What is up, guys, gals, and ghouls? Dallas here with Dead Ass Serious, here to go over a redo that I wrote of American Horror Story Double Feature. Gonna get straight into it. Right off the jump, the black pills, they do have an explanation. They were a little vague about the effects in which people would benefit from or succumb to the effects of the pill in terms of like if they got more creative or not. So in my version, right off the bat, you just need to know that people who are considered right-brain thinkers, they would mentally manifest like their creative peak as a result of the pill at the cost of needing blood like normal. And left-brain thinkers, they would reject the effects due to the more analytical way that they think. It's like their mind knows that they're being invaded when they take the pill, and it shuts down rather than opening up. When the pill can't mentally transform a person for the better, it physically transforms them for the worse. Negative effects are going to come with the transition that turns them into the mindless pails that we know, but in my version, the changes eventually drive them into the ocean as well. They become more aquatic in nature, so they need to go to the ocean, otherwise they would basically die. Being pale people, they do like to scream, and their screams basically through these now inhuman vocal cords sound almost like ethereal or beautiful. Makes them the sirens that we didn't get, that people were really expecting after the promos that we had seen. This would also kind of make the season more by the sea, in my opinion. There are even more to the pills, but for the sake of surprise, we'll go ahead and just start the season from here. Red Tide now opens up with P-Town being settled in the 1600s. It's intercut throughout with the start of the town council, them discovering something off the coast that they use to their advantage as time goes on. We're shown how Harry's directed to P-Town by Ursula. We see why later, and when he expresses to her how he thinks that Doris won't leave the city, Doris just so happens to win the competition on Instagram that we find out was hosted by the Browns, whose house they wind up at. As they drive into town, the roadkill that they had originally seen is going to be replaced with dead animals washing up on the coastline instead. When Harry's attacked by the pale person in the house, it's got webbed fingers, and it escapes. He doesn't actually kill it, but it does run into the ocean, and he assumes that it died. So Burleson, when she's talking to him later, she explains that she had been told of sightings like this before she took on the job, like homeless, drug addict, funky teeth and all that, and now there's a report of supposedly webbed fingers. Even though they always go away, she says that different ones seem to spring up in their place, and it's just like a revolving door of these things. Most of the middle of the season would play out the same. We do see Lark's introduction to the pill. I think it was just cut short because Billy Lord was pregnant or COVID, what have you. So we would actually see it this time. My assumption was that Mickey introduced it to her because her night job was at the Muse, and Mickey goes there all the time. So I figured she would have been brought to the chemist earlier than it seemed like she was in the actual show. And she's more direct about sending people to her for the teeth right away. And that's how, everybody has the teeth, whether they're pale or not, but, only a few people actually buy the AIDS couture that is at her shop as well. The chemist coming to town plays out the same for the most part. We do see her making the pills again, except we see her take a syringe, stab it into something that's off screen. She takes out like this gross looking liquid from it and uses it to make the pills. So coming up on the end of Red Tide, Gaslight would only have a few changes. Doris is coerced into taking the pill while she's still pregnant. She then turns pale after giving birth. Stuff kind of plays out the same with her. Karen paints Race Point, which turns out to be her masterpiece, and then she kills herself. But then when she does, and she's walking out to sea, when we see that she's already died, a huge tentacle comes out of the waves and takes her body. Doris, at the end of the episode, she still winds up a pale person, but then we see as she's eating one of the cats or raccoons or squirrels, whatever's out there, that she's actually got a tick on her that's also, feeding, infecting her with what later would turn out to be Lyme disease that she had brought up so fucking much in this season. So in the finale episode, we have the same intro with the town council being threatened, but Burleson's body was found like half eaten by something big, but they could still prove that she was killed before she hit the water. So Deputy So-and-so was sent to figure out what was going on. She threatens the council like she normally does, saying we're going to figure out what's going on, get to the bottom of it. And then before she's able to leave town, she's kidnapped. Cut to that night, she's on a boat that's being taken out to sea. And this is intercut with flashbacks of the previous chief, who was, we find out, like taken out this same way, and it's the council who has Deputy So-and-so and had killed the previous chief. They're taking her out to sea, and there's something huge under the boat as they're out there. The reason that the council has had so much power is that way back when the Pilgrims had settled, they discovered that there was something living off the coast basically became the Kraken in Legends. Not like the Clash of Titans Kraken, but giant squid-like thing. And this was like the addition that I wanted to throw in here, is like a mythological creature that could have been in American Horror Story, and I was really wanting something aquatic, but we didn't really get that. So this was my addition to the story, and then doing a little research into the monster myths and stuff like that. The Kraken was originally described as a giant squid, was rumored to have been seen in the Atlantic Ocean near Greenland, so I figured that was pretty close to where it had actually been sighted in like real history. So I figured a couple 100 miles, southeast, southwest, whatever direction, wouldn't be a big deal. It would pop up randomly in the background at night scenes, like in the water, so you couldn't really confirm seeing it or not. But there's also like myths around P-Town to this day of like, there's something in the water, and then the Pilgrim Town Council had used it as like their secret weapon over the next several hundreds of years, just basically feeding people to it who would threaten their way of life. This also explains how they have so much power, how they've had so much power, and how they have no problem keeping it. It's also proving they're a little bit hypocritical by giving Belle and Austin shit by saying, this is the biggest example of shitting where you eat is killing the sheriff or chief, whatever Burleson was. But then they're still willing to do something like that to defend their own way of life. So Belle and Austin, they're still ordered to kill Harry and Alma by the council, but Ursula's plan this time around is not to go talk to the Pale people and convince them to go do their job for them. She basically takes the pills that Mickey had given her, she empties them out, and then uses those contents to taint the ice bucket at the Muse, and then she just starts buying people rounds to infect as many people as possible. Whether they become pale or they become talented, they're going to become bloodthirsty. And this leads to the big attack on the town. I thought it was P-Town getting attacked in the trailer, so I'm turning it into P-Town getting attacked instead of LA. The chaos and everything is spreading through town. Ursula goes to hide before anybody can get her. Belle and Austin are meeting with Harry and Alma like before, but you can hear the radio show that was on YouTube playing in the background. Like when the radio show got attacked, we hear that happening, kind of indicating that stuff is spreading through town, people are getting attacked. And then Belle and Austin wind up getting attacked by the Pales like before, but it's more of like a chance, like they had just dispersed, started attacking as many people as possible. Belle and Austin still get killed like before. Harry, he winds up trying to hide Alma, and he gets killed in the process. I wasn't trying to think up like a happy ending for Harry. He was a shitty father. So the chemist also takes baby Eli like she did before. Ursula is almost killed by Holden, who's chasing her down, talking about wanting to feel her colors, when the chemist comes by and runs him over with their car. Ursula then gets in. They take off together with baby Eli in tow, and that's the last that we see of them for now. The next day, the town's in ruins. We pan through the smoke, the debris of the town, until we come up on the Brown's house, which did not get finished. You can hear violin coming from inside, but it does not sound good. There are no more pills to take. Alma, being a child, she needs the pills more frequently, is just how I'm writing it. Because she's not taking them, her talent actually goes away a lot quicker, and there's nobody to feed on, so she's sitting there playing shittily, just crying pathetically to herself at what she's lost as the front door opens. We see Doris is there. She's returned to her former state, more or less, via the Lyme disease that she caught from the tick that had bitten her. She calls out for Alma, and then Alma's just kind of staring at her like when she had first eaten the cat, just very, she calls out to Alma. She tries to step in the door, but as she does, a pale person comes and takes her. We hear her getting eaten off screen as Alma just goes back to playing very shittily, and we cut to black. Thank you guys for watching. This is my take on Red Tide, and I really didn't mean to commit any more time to American Horror Story right now, but here we are. Hoping this could give me, or possibly any of you, closure on the season, how it turned out, just by kind of filling in some gaps, giving me some answers. And I do have the same thing going on with Death Valley. I'm finishing up writing that half of the story, and it does tie in the pills, give you even more of an explanation for what's going on. Why do things turn aquatic when they do not go well when they take the black pill, as well as other stuff. So I'm hoping that you guys will tune in for that. There'll be other content coming soon. Appreciate you watching. Hope you like, share, and subscribe. You have a good rest of your day.